God bless everybody. Today is March 11th of 2024, and Joey Biden has become a drunken sailor. Guys, he just put out a $7.3 trillion budget. If you guys can't see this one coming, I don't know where not in the same room I am. But anyway, let's look at this story that just came out, and I done some videos this morning. Those are pretty important videos. Please check them out. But this story is insane, and there's no way the governments can spend like this without putting us in a really bad place. So it mainly came out on Bloomberg this morning. I pulled this article, so I try to give you different perspectives all the time. So I always show you where I get the article, and then we go into the article. But this one's crazy, guys. Um, Biden releases $7.3 trillion budget, including 850 billion in defense and 11.8 billion on the border. Um, we need the defense budget, but a lot of that money is going to other countries now, like Ukraine, Israel, different things like that. It's not really, and then they'll tell you it's coming back to us. We're manufacturing the weapons, which is what Joey wants. Joe Biden's probably sold more weapons across the world than any other government, and I can't remember when. And then this 11.8 billion on the border is to what they want to do is process all these illegals that are coming in, this big backlog of all these, uh, you know, uh, you can't say illegal immigrants anymore. Undocumented people. I don't know what they want to call them today. It's like the woke thing. I don't get it. I don't get this either. I'm going to show you the debt clock in a minute, and just realize 7.3 trillion. Now he's going to say, and I'm going to say this up front, he's going to say that he's cut a trillion in deficit. Okay, but you're still spending 6.3 trillion. You wonder why we're going to be in trouble here soon, okay? And I'm going to show you something really that you might be able to get ahead in this game. There's probably only a few ways to do that, but this one sometimes works. Well, no, it always works. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm going to show you what I do, or people that I know that have a little bit of even people that don't have a lot of resources can do this. So we'll get into that in a minute. So President Joe Biden's budget has a little chance of becoming law. Of course, no one's going to pass this. So why would Joe even present it to us? He unveils a sweeping plan for 25 with 5 trillion in tax, hikes. And think about it, we just released, I don't know, what is it, 60 or 80,000 IRS agents with potential Second Amendment rights to go out and collect a lot of taxes. They got to pay for this somehow, okay? And that it's going to hit billionaires and corporations over 10 years. Number one, I always have this question. I don't care what president's in the room. Why are you putting budgets down for 10 years? You're only a president for 4. You don't even 8 if you're at the longest period of time if you would get reelected, and then you can't run again. So why do they, in their infinite wisdom, affect another president coming in that's supposed to have policies that are supposed to help the country when they're being basically blocked by these types of legislations that penetrate into years? And I'm not talking about right, left, or anything. I just don't understand how you can build a budget for 10 years in a 4-year cycle. Okay, let's say Joe gets his next term, which God hope not. But anyway, Joe gets his next term. He's still only got, 5 years. So this makes no sense. And you guys need to be looking at this stuff that way because it doesn't make any sense. Okay, maybe a Democrat will get in next time. And the next time after that, which is what it would take to get through the cycle. But it's crazy. This is crazy stuff. And that's why Joe Biden's probably not a good president. because he's willing to tax you literally in the ground, okay? Um, this is crazy stuff. I mean, you can go through and you can look at all these crazy things that he's doing. No one would think this is fine. Yeah, smile, Joe. It's a great day for you. Um, it's a terrible day for the nation. But check this out. So we've talked about this many, many times, and how the national debt clock is at 34.5 trillion. Okay, now I just did a video not that long ago. We had just crossed the 34 trillion, so this is accelerating. Okay, it's accelerating at a level or pace that we can't even imagine, because they're spending a lot of money, right? I mean, you can't imagine the hemorrhaging. And if you write a budget for 7.3 trillion, even if you cut a trillion in deficit, they're adding 6 trillion, 6 point almost 5 trillion to this. So now you're at 40 trillion. Okay, they're telling us 10 years. You know it's not going to take 10 years to do this. Now, look at what each taxpayer owes. This is what you owe as an individual taxpayer to the government. You're entrenched in literal crazy debt. I mean, no one can make sense of this. It's just that crazy. And then follow this path, because this is why they have to do this. Okay, you have this in actual spending. Okay, you're at 6.5 trillion this year. This year. We're in March. I'm just throwing that down. 6.5 trillion in official spending, and you owe 266,500 basically, and you have a budget deficit of 1.77 trillion. Okay, guess where that hole is being filled? Okay, I've talked about this many times. Okay, right there. There's where it's being filled. Janet Yellen is filling that hole with bonds, treasuries. Okay, that's what I mean. They're printing it as fast as they can spend it, and they're spending it faster than they can spend it. If that makes any sense. And I know I'm dyslexic, so it probably didn't make any sense. Look, they're printing it to keep up with the spending. I mean, you can't spend this kind of money, throw this kind of treasury down. And yes, it says 2005, but look at the amount of money that they're pushing into the system, which is causing this massive hyperinflation. You know, he can talk about inflation coming down. Inflation is not coming down. If you're buying groceries or gas, look at gas. Look how gas has gone up here lately, guys. And so don't buy into this narrative that they're throwing down. Number one, it's going to be soft bills and landings. You know, look at this. And the problem is with this is it's going to accelerate faster than we realize, okay? Because they're pushing it further and further all the time. I mean, it was like a year or two ago, it was like 4 trillion it was spending. Now they're at 6.5 trillion because of all this military spending and everything that they're doing out here, and then they're going to tack that on. And you know, look at your debt to ratio, debt to GDP ratio. But look at this. Let's say we do the time machine. Okay, that's a cool thing. Let's go look at the time machine. That's really cool. What's a time machine says? Wow, by 2028 you're going to be at 47 trillion. Oh wow, I bet gold's going to be at $3,000 or better when you get there, and that's only a couple years away. So I'm not an investment guy to give you financial advice, but you're at 2,200 now, and in 4 years you're going to possibly be at 3,000. And maybe this is biblical, so the gold and silver won't matter. So I'm not going to push you in that room. But if you're going to do an investment and they're going to eat you alive in the markets, it might be an option for you all. But anyway, I just wanted to bring this up. You got to realize that's insanity. You know, even if you spent 7.3 trillion in 10 years, okay, it still pushes you over about where we are here, which means you owe 332,000, almost 333,000. Wow, that's an interesting number. God's love threes. That's cool. And you'd be at 150% to GDP. And people say, "Wow, we don't need to worry about that." Okay. Well, it's going to come around to catch your grandchildren if nothing else. We'll have to pay this back someday. Or we might have that reset coming up in the next month where they just shut this stuff down because they can't control this because they're paying 5.5% on the interest rates and they can't lower them. So they're going to just, this is why, this is one of the reasons that we're in, I know we're here, let me push it back. That's why we're here, is they're paying a massive amount of interest on these loans. There you go, right there. Look at the interest. Isn't this a great clock? All the information's right here. Tells you how many homeless there is, all kinds of stuff. People living in poverty. Tell us, Joe, how good is it? You know what? All Congress should be looking at this clock and throwing it at him every day and saying, why? And then why would you have thrown absurd $7.3 trillion bill on us, no matter what the reduction is in deficit? And I don't believe the numbers there. So it is what it is. You guys, this is a nightmare. This is a nightmare. You're watching the M2 supply get destroyed. Bonds are melting up. The inversion's going to invert someday. Things are just really going to be stupid. And then Joey unveils the nightmare. I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around this number. We're getting into levels that, divide that number, if you can get it on a calculator. I'm not going to do it because I might be able to do it in my head. But anyway, do 7.3 trillion and divide that by 350 million people, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's insane. The other thing I was thinking about the other day, and I'm going to say it just because it popped in my head. It's amazing that we have these elections, and they spend $350 billion or $350 million in a state, and that's happened. Why don't they just, if you want to win the election, why you give it to the corporations? Why would you do that? $350 trillion that you gave news and like organizations that do media and stuff like that come out as a president, like Donald Trump. There you go, Donald. Here's a really good plan. You want to win votes? You want to spur an economy into an oblivious place that we can't even imagine? You take $1 million and you give it to everybody and tell them go spend, restart this economy, and you'll have it taken care of it overnight. That won't even be a problem. They'll spend until the world goes, and then every year, we go through these cycles of elections and stuff. So you just keep handing the money out to these people, and they'll just love you. You'll be there forever. You won't have to think about it. We'll just petrify you. We can put you in the chair. You can be Bernie, and everything will be just fine. So you can't make these kind of things up, guys. They're literally driving the country in the ground, and this is going to destroy the dollar to the point you're in the 70-year cycle. It's going to go into destruction mode. You're almost there, getting ready to destroy everything. Look, the foreign people can't tolerate this kind of stuff because it just drives their banks into a position where they can't afford their high rates either. They're higher than ours, and the dollar is destroying the foreign currency. So it's an endless vicious cycle, and that's why they're moving to BRICS, because they know there's no control. Okay? There's just no control out. And when you're the drunken sailor, you don't care. You'll spend that money until there's just nothing left on the card. You'll take the cash out of your pockets until there's nothing left, and then you look around and hope somebody will buy you a drink. I don't drink, so I'm just saying. I've never really drank. But I've watched these kind of people, and that's what they do. So anyway, God bless y'all. hopefully we're not gonna end up here. So have a great night. God bless.